I think sometimes you have to fuel your brain with enough inspiration and enough guidance, and you've got to try some things until it clicks.
I'm Amy Porterfield, ex-corporate girl turned CEO of a multi-seven-figure business. But it wasn't all that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the budget, and the time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and you'll see the business I have today. One that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought possible. One that used to only exist as a daydream. I created the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started.
Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Online Marketing Made Easy. I'm thrilled that you're here. And today's kind of a special episode. So I have some exciting news for me. Like, I'm really well aware when I share exciting news about my business, you're like, yeah, great for you, Amy, but your head's down, you're getting it done, you're making things happen on your end. So the good news is that I've got some inspiration for you today. So that exciting news, well, my book, 2 Weeks Notice, has been out for an entire year. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that I wrote this book because I was called to help those who are just getting started in their business. And this is the book I wish I had when I was first starting my online business, so I wouldn't have been so scared at every turn and had such a lack of confidence in what I was doing. I could have just really used a guide to help me navigate out of my job into entrepreneurship and then tell me what to do to get even started. So that's why I wrote the book, because I wish I had this book when I was just starting out. Now, that's about me, right? I wrote this book. It's been out for a year. Me. That's not why I want to make this episode. I always ask myself when I create content, does the reader or listener care? Does the reader or listener care? And I know that if you've been following me for a while, I know that you cheer me on as I cheer you on. So I feel that through all your comments and your engagement and all of that. But also I'm very mindful that every time I create an episode, I think, what's in it for them? Why should they listen? Why should they care? And today, I think that you should listen, and I hope that you care, because this is an episode that can inspire you to make a change. I'm going to tell you some stories of people who have read 2 Weeks Notice, took what they learned, and made a total 180 pivot in their life. So right now, if you're doing something that is not bringing you pure joy and happiness professionally, if you're in a 9-to-5 job, if you're stuck in a cubicle, if you're doing consulting work you don't like, just anything, if you feel stuck where you're at and you know deep down inside you are meant for more, and there's got to be something else out there for you, then this is the episode for you. Or if you just feel like you need a little shot of inspiration, keep on listening. And as I share the stories of those who have read 2 Weeks Notice and made their big pivots, I want you to remember, if they can do it, so can I. Because I learn best by having proof that what I'm going after is something that actually is going to work out. Like, I've seen it work for other people. I've seen them go through this and come out the other side. Like, I love real life stories. I think that's why I'm addicted to documentaries. Like, I watch at least 1 or 2 documentaries a week. If I'm going to binge on Netflix, I'm looking for documentaries. Or Love is Blind season 6, but don't even get me started. So with that, I wanted to inspire you today. So just sit back and let me just be your storyteller, because I want you to hear these stories to remind yourself of what you are made of and what is possible for you. Okay, so the first story I want to share with you is from a woman named Sarah. And Sarah has created this thriving business where she helps entrepreneurs with their conferences and their events. But that's what she's doing now. That's not necessarily what she was doing for many, many years. So, not too long ago, she was working for a large hospital system and she was planning their events. So, not for entrepreneurs, not on her own. She was working for a hospital, planning the events at the hospital. And get this, she had been in that role for 20 years. So, anyone who's been in the same role for 20 years, going out on your own has to be incredibly scary because you know your job well. You know the ins and outs. You could probably do it in your sleep. You're comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you feel safe. But my motto is what's keeping you safe is keeping you stuck. So she was stuck. She wasn't happy. And here's why she wasn't happy. I've got a little tea for you. This story is wild. Okay, so here's the thing. Sarah, when she was working at the hospital for 20 years, she completely transformed the way the hospital planned their events. Before, when she first started, very basic, very boring events. She took those events to high quality events and literally became known as the go-to person in this big hospital system for creating extraordinary events that people want to attend and engage in. And here's the thing. Throughout those 20 years, Sarah had never been given a raise or a title change. So despite her continuous growth and excellence and the fact that she's drastically improved the hospital system's events, nothing. She was constantly overlooked. When you hear that word overlooked, some of you just got a ping like in your stomach, like, ooh, I know what that feels like. Now, here's the thing. She had been with the company for years and years and years, and she finally worked up the courage to advocate for herself and ask her boss for a title change and a raise. She went to her boss. She said, this is what I've done. This is the value I've added. Here's how it's equated to saving money and engaging with more people and bringing people to us. Like, this is all the value that I've added over years and years and years of experience. And the reason she hadn't done that before is because she didn't want to be the problem employee. Have you ever felt that way? I don't want to ruffle feathers. I don't want to seem too needy. I don't want to cause any problems. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. She did that for so long, and then she thought, this is ridiculous. So she asked for what she wanted. And here's the great news. Sarah's boss was very supportive and spoke to HR about a promotion, and they agreed. So she's like, great. And then for the next few weeks, she waited for that raise and that title change to happen, but it didn't happen. And then months went by and she kept checking in like, hey, what about that promotion that you promised me? And it was like excuse after excuse after excuse why it wasn't happening. And then this is where things get really messy. Long story short, she found out that her boss never, ever spoke to HR or management about her promotion. The conversation had literally never happened. Sarah's boss had actively stifled her chances of getting a promotion after 20 years of giving her heart and soul to this one company. Not long after, Sarah was laid off from her job. So she was already knocked down, and then they just kind of knocked her down even more, laid off from her job. But our girl is resilient. So the next day, she started looking for other jobs and even side hustles. That's when she stumbled upon Digital Course Academy, my program, and 2 weeks notice. She just went for it. Sarah said, the minute I opened the book, I was hooked by the introduction. Your words could have been my words. I read the book entirely in 2 days. Okay, Sarah's my very favorite kind of reader, right? She just devoured it. And with that, she decided to DSD. If you've been in my community, you know what that means. If not, here you go. She decided to DSD, do something different. And so because I teach this idea of DSD, I didn't think of it. My husband's ex-wife told me about it. And I've always loved it so much. So when things aren't working out well for me, if I'm stuck, if I'm confused, if I feel just frustrated, I'm like, I need to DSD my way out of this. Do something different. When you show up differently, you get different results. So she thought, I'm going to DSD. And she enrolled in Digital Course Academy, and the rest is history. She started her own business, Sarah Jacobson Events and Consulting. And today she wakes up excited to do something she loves on her own terms. Sarah, if you're listening, and I hope you are, I am so proud of you for DSDing your way into a whole different life and realizing how much value you have to offer the world. Before I move on to the next story, I just want to point out that what happened to Sarah, where she was lied to about a promotion, that was out of her control. She thought it had happened. She took it at face value and then waited months and months to find out it was a lie. And then she got laid off. The reason I teach women how to make their own money and find their own voice and do their own thing is so that you don't have to ask for a raise. You don't have to wait for someone to say you're good enough. You don't have to hope that you're not the problem employee. All of that goes out the door. Now, I'm not saying every 9-to-5 job is like this. And also, I don't think everyone should quit their job. But when you have it heavy on your heart that you are not being treated properly, paid well, respected, and often overlooked, it is time to do something about that. Speaking of doing something, let me tell you about McKenna, an AP psychology teacher and varsity volleyball coach of 18 years. 18 years. So we're talking about people that have been in their profession for a very long time. And this one really is special because I have a lot of teachers in my community that would like to break free and do something different. So despite the stability of her teaching career, the experience of getting alopecia showed McKenna that there was something else out there that she was passionate about. Now, what McKenna really wanted to do was speak on stages and help others going through the same thing that she's gone through, this alopecia experience. And she wanted to share, what it's looked like for her and inspire others. So she read the book 2 weeks notice, and she told me that after reading it, she literally laid in bed in tears because she felt like I was speaking directly to her. One of the biggest things that resonated with McKenna was picking an actual date to leave her job. This is something, if you haven't read my book, I encourage people to choose the exit date, whether it be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year from now. Put it on a Post-it note and put it on, let's say, a mirror in your bathroom that you're going to see it every single day. And you ask yourself, what do I need to do today to move me closer to that date? So it's something that you're reminded of literally daily, if not multiple times a day. And she did this. She chose her date because once she put that out into the universe, that date, she made it happen. A couple months after reading 2 weeks notice, she resigned from her teaching position of 18 years on the date that she said she would. The book empowered her to believe in herself and her purpose. And today she is doing something she loves, which is she's speaking on stages. I've been watching McKenna on social, and she recently was on the Jennifer Hudson show talking about her experience in inspiring others. That's a really big stage, and it would have never happened if she stayed in her teaching career and she stayed safe, because what was keeping her safe was keeping her stuck. So McKenna, I'm a big fan. You're going to do huge things in this world, and congratulations on your pivot and your next chapter in your life. Next up is Tamari, who helps women through their postpartum breastfeeding journey. So back in 2022, she was a teacher. So we've got 2 teachers on this episode today. She was a teacher for 3-year-olds. And she also had 3 young children of her own at home. So this was like a total grind. You go into work every day, you're with 3-year-olds. You come home, you're with 3 of your young children. Tamari was very unhappy in her career. And she heard about 2 weeks notice and she was just intrigued. So she picked up the book, started reading, and she did something similar to McKenna. She chose the date she was going to leave her job and she stuck with it. And just 3 months after reading the book, she went off on her own. Today, she has her own business. She has the freedom she's always wanted, runs her own life, and get this. I need you to hear this. So come back to me if you're multitasking. She's making 3 times more money than she was as a teacher. I need you to remember in 2022, she was still a teacher. Today, in early 2024, she's making 3 times more money than she was as a teacher. And the best part about it is she's doing something she is truly passionate about, which is helping other moms. Now, I had the privilege of actually spending some time coaching Tamari because I did this thing at the end of last year, I think it was, where my son's best friend is in a fraternity at Penn State. And he asked if I would donate to a certain charity that the fraternity was raising money for, which was a charity helping children with cancer. And so my son, Cade, his best friend, Andres, asked if I would donate. And I said, I will, but I want to take it a little step further and see if some people in my community will donate as well. So I posted on social and said, I will do 2 hours of one-on-one coaching, something I never offer for the record. So I'll do a 2-hour one-on-one coaching session to the first person who donates $5,000 to this charity. And surprisingly, I mean, I was surprised because I don't do this kind of thing. So I just didn't know what to expect. I was flooded with people that wanted to donate, which kind of broke my heart because I'm only one person and I don't do a lot of one-on-one coaching. It actually makes me a little nervous. It's not really my zone of genius, but I knew I had value I could add. So I ended up taking 2 different people. And so we raised $10,000 extra from the gracious community of mine. And Tamari was one of them. So we got on a call and this woman is on fire. I can't believe she just left her teaching job because she is building a membership experience. She's got a course. She's got this huge community. I started following her on social. Her community loves her, but it's because she found her thing and she just went after it. And some of you are listening and you're like, but Amy, I don't know what my thing is. I think sometimes you have to fuel your brain with enough inspiration and enough guidance, and you've got to try some things until it clicks. Remember that when I started my journey 15 years ago, I used to do social media for small businesses. One of my clients was a shampoo company, and I would post on their social media. At the time, it was really just Facebook about this shampoo product. Fast forward 15 years, I've generated over $100 million in revenue. I have 22 beautiful people on my team all across the US. We work a 4-day work week. I have a beautiful life and I get to help people every single day find more freedom. But what I'm doing today is dramatically different than what I was doing 15 years ago in my first year of entrepreneurship, where I was confused, very scared, and not making hardly any money. So it's okay to stumble in the beginning. It's okay to not be really sure what you're going to do. And it's okay to make a pivot. And that's where I really want anybody who needs to hear this, I want you to listen up. It's okay to work in a job for 20 years and say you're not happy anymore and you want to dramatically change your life. It's okay if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and say, I want to be my own boss for the first time in my life. It's okay to make your own money, even if your partner's making good money and keeping you safe. You can still go out and do your own thing. I was talking to a woman today and her husband and her have been really successful. He's grown these businesses, sold his software companies. They are multi-millionaires. And she confided in me and said, Amy, because my husband has made all this money, I'm so grateful for it. I'm so taken care of, but I didn't necessarily have that drive to go after what I wanted because I didn't have to make money. He said I could stay home. Like, for the record, I've never had that experience. I've never had a spouse tell me I can stay home and not work. So I'm like, whoa, I wonder what that would feel like. But I feel as though it would feel safe. And if you have a desire to do something bigger, it would feel like you were stuck. And so she said, no matter if I needed to make money or not, I wanted to do this thing on my own because I wanted to prove to myself I could do it. I wanted to make my own money. I wanted to have my own freedom and I wanted to help people. And so I tell you this story. Most of us aren't in that situation, I know, but I tell you this story to say, if you want it, then go after it. No matter if you have to make money or don't have to make money. No matter if you feel like you're really taken care of in your job or not. If you have a desire to do something different, to go out on your own, to call the shots, to make your own money, to have your own freedom on your terms, then what are you waiting for? The world is waiting for you. It's just right there. And I know that my situation is different than yours. And I know that some of these stories, you might think that people are privileged or in a different situation. And that could be very true. But that doesn't mean that you are not worthy of your next chapter and not absolutely capable of it. But you've got to make that decision that you might be safe, but you are stuck. Or make that decision, I'm unhappy and I'm tired of being unhappy. I'm not making enough money. I'm overlooked. I'm ignored. I'm tired of that. Sometimes you got to get a little angry, even. Sometimes you got to say, enough is enough. I'm not happy. I don't want this anymore. And then you got to get a plan. And in my book, 2 Weeks Notice, there is your plan. I will help you every step of the way. And speaking of that, we are actually celebrating 1 full year of 2 Weeks Notice being out in the world, and the book is going to be released in paperback. We wanted it to be even more accessible to people, and paperback's a little bit cheaper than hardback. And so we are releasing the paperback book. And I love this because with spring and summer coming up, it's easy to tuck it into your beach bag or your backpack and bring it with you wherever you go. Let it be your guide to more freedom. So if these stories have inspired you and you know there's so much more waiting for you outside of your job or just your current situation, whatever that might be, go ahead and grab your paperback copy of 2 Weeks Notice. You can go to amyporterfield.com/paperback. amyporterfield.com/paperback. I would love to support you in finding the courage to quit your job, make more money, work where you want, and change the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. I feel so, so grateful that I got to share these stories with you. And also, hopefully, you feel inspired to make the pivot, make the change, get courageous, and take the risk. Because, my friend, you are absolutely worthy and capable. I love you to the moon and back and can't wait to see you for more entrepreneurial goodness. Same time, same place. Can't wait.